when you think of the very oldest churches in England, you probably don't imagine a tiny stone building at the end of a flat, muddy Essex peninsula on a path away from the village of Bradwell-on-Sea towards a nature reserve. That's exactly what St Peter on the Wall on the Dengie Peninsula of Essex is. So this is the chapel. The chapel stands on the site of a Roman fort called Athona, one of a series of forts built in the 3rd century to defend against raids from the continent. However, about 2/3 of the area where the fort stood is now covered at high tide. Also, the Roman road leading up to the chapel actually follows the old Roman road. However, the fort was then abandoned when the Romans left Britain in 410 AD. This is since said. Said sailed down to Bradwell-on-Sea in 653 AD and built the chapel itself the next year over the site of the old Roman gate and actually used the materials from the fort to build it. We can see the remains of 2 arches that sat on a central pillar here, and the original apse is marked outside the chapel here. He established a little community there with lots of small huts serving as houses, a school and even a hospital. Around 10 years after this, Said went to another one of his monasteries, Lastingham in Yorkshire, along with 30 monks from Bradwell-on-Sea. Since Said then shortly died of the plague, and 29 of the 30 monks then also caught the plague and died too. The building then fell out of use as a chapel and served many other uses, including a barn. And then the central part of the north and south wall was removed, before then being added back. The building fell into disrepair and been left desecrated by the early 20th century. The next few decades saw many changes to the building, including a restoration which involved giving it a nice new roof. The chapel was then given to Chelmsford Cathedral and it was reconsecrated in 1920. The original altar was wooden, but that was moved to the parish church here in the 1980s and replaced with this lovely stone altar. That was just a short little video about an interesting building that I visited, and I hope you liked it. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want. Have a good day.